Hello there, this is Joseph Gray with DR Metrics. We're going to talk about the airing detail page. We've made a lot of changes to it. Starting at the top left, you will see that one can now change the date range on this page without having to necessarily navigate back to the ranking page and use that date filter, which was kind of a pain. So now we can open this up. We can choose last week or current week. If we click Other, it opens up the menus just like we've seen on the ranking page, where you can choose any specific media year and then select a week, month, or our media quarter, year to date, all of a specific year, lifetime views, and we also have our date picker where you can choose a starting and an ending time frame, click Set, and apply that date range. Now, one of the things you'll notice right away on this page is that we're showing the spend levels for the two different national cable ad breaks. Local DPI, we call the secondary type of break, and of course the national ad break where the media is valued quite a bit higher. So you can see the total and the breakout between those two break types, as well as the units over here on the left, as always. You will notice that we added a new filter here under all programs, where we can see all of the programs that a particular brand or creative has activity on for the time frame that we're querying. And if we want to select any group of these and click the Apply button here, we can just analyze the data at a program level. Now, as before, you have your network drop down here where you can choose any compilation of networks. There's 58 here that this particular brand Bosley ran on in Q3. If I would prefer to filter the data by day of week, hour of day, for multi-network views, we can force some standardized day parts to make data easy to analyze. And of course, as you may know, when you drill into specific network details, we're going to show every network's custom direct response day parts. I'm going to select overnight here. And I want to bring to your attention the top network down here is 1.6 million before I click Apply. That is Telemundo. Watch what happens now to the dollars up here at the top and the units over here and all of this data down below when I apply that filter. Everything's going to dynamically update, which is, as it relates to the bottom part of this report, unique and new. So now we're looking at the airings and the projected spend for only the overnights. And we can see that now Headline News is ranked as the first network with the highest level of spend. If you come back up here, I do want to point out that this bottom part and some of the reports on the page will change the primary sort based on your trend by selection here. As an example, I'm going to click on airings instead of spend. The report's going to update, and the data down here is now looking at the networks sorted by custom airings instead. And if I request a summary export, which I'll show you, or this network export down here, they're going to be sorted in either of these two ways. So again, that's another new feature that you'll want to check out. Let me put it back to spend. And I'll continue on and show you that we have a summary and airing detail report selector toggle here. If you want to select a summary report, you can choose either calendar or broadcast day. And then you can toggle to a lifetime or leave it on the selected date range and click the Excel button over here. Similar to every other Excel report throughout the entire AdSphere system, menu pops up, reports pre-named, a suggested name. I can click in here and change the name to whatever I'd like. The reports on this page have a lot of data, so they take a little bit of time to run, a few minutes anyway. You can have the system email you when the report's ready, and then you can submit it. Now, I've already run the summary report here for Bosley, and I just want to show you what this looks like now. You'll notice on row H we have the spend, and that this particular summary report was was defaulted to spend. So every network day part is going to be sorted based on its share of market dollars. In this case, the highest level of spend for Bosley happened to have been on Telemundo on a Monday through Sunday rotator, which is distinct to Telemundo from 1900 to 2300 hours. As you scroll over, you can see we also have the dollars for the national ad break portion of the buy and the local DPI breaks, if applicable, as well. So you can resort this in different ways to understand what are the top local DPI day parts, what are the top national ad break day parts. And if I click over here on the creative tab, it's going to give me the spend by creative, showing me for a specific creative what were the top network day parts. And as you go down on this report, if there are multiple creatives, you can see it starts to sort again. And so every creative, as you scroll down, you'll be able to see its perhaps best performing network day part composition. And then some of the brand direct advertisers by show specific or syndication. Most of the traditional direct response advertisers may buy syndication, or they'll just buy ROS day parts and not target specific shows. But we'll show you that information so that if there is syndication or program targeting, you might be able to see it on this particular tab. We can see here that the top in terms of frequency, in this case sorted by spend, is on headline news, and it's the forensic files. And this program data is provided by Nielsen Grace Note. So let me pull that off and let me bring in the airing detail report and show you what this looks like. Now, if you've never seen it before, this is really our lowest level report. It has a row for every distinct airing that our ACR technology is capturing. And you can see that we have the clickable airing level playback feature here on this report. Now, the only other place in AdSphere to gain access to airing level video playback is the network log view. There's a video specific to network log view that I invite you to check out if you're not familiar with that feature. So these network level videos are good for 10 days. And you can basically play back the spot and see it exactly as it appeared at that time on that network. And in addition to this feature here, you'll see we have most of our standard fields: creative name, network, start and end time, the brand name, in this case Bosley, the length of the creative. You may be running a report across the entire brand. They may have multiple creative links. The break type, these are both, all of this is national cable, of course, N for the national ad breaks on the network, and L for the DPI breaks on the network, or what we might call local DPI break. The optical character recognition technology we use will attempt to read the TFN, the URL, and in some cases the promotion code if being used along with URL. If our editors have had a chance to verify the accuracy of that information, then it'll appear here in the airing detail output, and verified will be yes, knowing that a human has double-checked the accuracy of that information. We have a thumbnail feature, which also exists in the network log view as well as here, where you can click and see an image from the actual airing. Now, we try to make that the call to action sequence. So for a traditional direct response offer, it's the end slate with the price point, in some cases, the product configuration, legal disclaimers, all kinds of great information exist within these thumbnails, and they never expire. So you can go back in time and understand what phone numbers, what web addresses were used on specific networks. If one of these thumbnail views is correct, if I'm sorting by network, then I essentially know exactly what took place on that network for that particular creative. The program names, again, from Nielsen Grace Note. The ROS day and ROS time are specific and distinct to the network. Every network has its own. And in this case, we're showing a Monday through Sunday, 2300 to 2 in the morning day part. We also give it standardized name. In this case, that would map to our standardized day part of late fringe or prime time, etc. And then a new feature is the spend estimate. This is what the top of the market brand direct advertisers are averaging for that particular spot. And if you notice that any of this data is very, very far off, you can use our rate review feature, which I'll show you in a second. And then we have the day of week, makes this very pivot table friendly. All right, so let me put that away. And let's continue down on the report. I want to show you that there are 3 distinct views. So after you've set all of your filters and you've clicked apply, you can look at the data on this left-hand section by day of week, which is what we're looking at here. And if I mouse over, on Sunday I can see the airing frequency and the spend. I can move over to Saturday and so on and so forth. If I click over on hour of the day, that section will update, and I'll be looking at both the national ad units and the local DPI breaks on the network by distinct hour of the day. Now you can see I still have my custom day parts on, so I'm only looking at overnight data. Let me go back to all day parts and click apply and watch how that will update. So again, all of the filters are respected. The entire page is dynamic. And now you can see all of the data, again, respecting my filters. If I click on standardized day parts, I'll be able to see the data now broken into those respective standardized values, including overnight here. We can see the dollars for both the 2 break types. And here's a tip. You can click on these values in any of these 3 tabs, and it applies a filter, just like up here, that changes the right side graph. Now, the right side graph will show you all the historic spend estimate and frequency by media week. Now, you can see here that we only have a small amount of time selected in this view. I can stretch that out, for example, and bring more of that data up into the top section. I can drag it over and go and look at historic dollars broken out by the 2 break types. I can even stretch this thing out and bring everything into one view. There you go. Now, let's say I want to only look at the overnight data and have it graphed out by media week. I just click over here, and you'll see that this graph will update to overnight. And now I'm just looking at the overnight spend by day of week. Now this, if I toggle it, notice how it doesn't change the bottom section here. The bottom section is totally driven by these drop downs up here. So this is just a little quick filter that you can apply. It doesn't update the entire page. It only updates the graph over here of our billings and frequency by media week. All right, so let's come down here, and I think I demonstrated. Let me just do it one more time. I'm going to grab overnight as an example, or let's do early morning. Let's be different, and click apply. And all of the data on the bottom here is going to update, and you'll see custom airings and custom spends so that you know you have one of these filters applied. And we use the term custom up here as well. You can always reset all of these filters if it's ever confusing and start over. But we can see here, based on having spend selected, that we have the networks that are ordered, ranked, if you will, by custom spend. In this case, it's the custom early morning day part. Now, if I open up any of these expandable menus here, I can see, in the case of MTV, all of the different creatives that they had on the air for that period of time that we're looking at. And once this thing opens up, you'll be able to see that. Here they are. You can see we've mapped the dollars in this build to the distinct creatives. Here are your play buttons over here. And when you do click play, provided we've had a recent airing on MTV in the last 10 days, that's what it'll play you back. Now this says the last airing was 10/4, so it's for sure going to play me that airing from 10/4. There you go. Now you can click in here at the custom airing level if you want to analyze the creative level execution on that specific network, or you can do it up here at the brand level. So I'm going to click on this 68,700 and we're going to dive in. Now the custom filters go away when you're coming into these screens, and so it does say up here all network airings shown in these views, so there's no confusion. So you can see the total spend on MTV, and it's mapped to their respective ROS day parts. Over here on the right hand side, I can bring into view and look at the media buying on this network across all these day parts by media week. So this is all the dollars that are being booked for all the media weeks historically. Now I can go ahead and click this rate review request on this page or the next page I'm going to show you and provide feedback to DR Metrics if I feel like the rates are plus or minus more than 25% off, and we really will value that input. I'm going to click here on the bar and dive into this specific day part and go a little bit deeper to what we call the ROS day part view. And you can see that the units are mapped out by day of week and half hour of the day. And now we have the spend values in here as well. Over here, now we're just mapping the dollars and the frequency for this one particular ROS day part over time. And you can see periods of time historically where they've bought this network and periods of time when they haven't. If I click on the rate review request, if it's more or less than 25% off on the rate, you can see, look, I think these rates need to be bumped as high as 50% or more, or they're too high, they need to be lowered as much as 50% reduction. And down here, if you could give us the feedback, letting us know specifics like the broadcast year, the broadcast quarter, the break type, the day part, maybe the creative duration. If the rates are off on a specific type of creative or day part or something like that, you can let us know and give us that feedback as well. You'll notice on all of these pages that we're showing the dollars again and the airings as always. We did add a program clickable button where you can see for whatever the day part or network specific what the programs were. You can export that via Excel if you'd like. I'm going to use the back button here, and we're going to come back up to the top page for MTV. And if I click programs here, it's going to show me all of the programs that this advertiser has been buying across all the day parts on MTV, and there's your Excel output for that as well. Now, just like the main page, you could toggle between plotting the airings by week in the graph over here or spend. So those are options that you have. The Excel buttons on all of these pages will give you that airing detail output that I shared with you earlier, but it'll be specific to just the network or the day part that you're on. Then back here on the main page, I'm going to click Reset and restore all the filters to their default. I think I've covered everything in this video that I intended to. Please stay tuned. We're going to cover tracking and alerts in the next video. Thank you.